wonder of the world burst the wonderful world of pro football. A national television audience watched the season opening renewal of one of sport's most intense rivalries, the Houston Oilers versus the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs had names familiar to all football fans: Taylor, Garrett, Stenerud, Smith, Buchanan. But this year's Chiefs were not at all the same team which had represented the American Football League in the first Super Bowl. Before the season, Coach Hank Stram had rebuilt the Super Chiefs with 8 major position changes, 5 on an aging defensive team. As a result, most of the so-called experts had counted the Chiefs out of the title race a bit prematurely. After a rip-snorting offensive start, the rebuilt defense took over. A super alert interception by Jim Kearney stopped one Houston drive on the 4. A come-from-behind tackle by Willie Mitchell saved another touchdown. And a daring interception by young Emmett Thomas saved the game. In the final 5 minutes, the Chiefs had twice stopped the onrushing Eastern champions inside the 10-yard line, and the new season had begun on a triumphant note for the Chiefs. Before a record Kansas City crowd and another national TV audience, a guy named Joe beat the Chiefs for the first time in 4 tries. The Chiefs' new defense made opportunities, but the offense could not cash in on them. The special team scored all the Chiefs' points, and Tiny Nolan Smith scored the only Kansas City touchdown. But for one more point, the Chiefs, instead of the Jets, might have become super champions. With all of their running backs injured, the Chiefs had to call on their punter, Gerald Wilson, to carry the ball against Denver. For the first half, the inspired defense, led by young Aaron Brown, kept the Chiefs in the game. In the second half, Jackie Lee came off the bench to complete 7 of 8 passes, good for 2 touchdowns to Otis Taylor. But the story of the game and probably the entire pro season was number 45, rookie Robert Holmes. A shin infection and a 102-degree temperature had kept Holmes on the bench, his leg packed in ice until the second half. Then, playing with the offensive unit for the first time, Robert Holmes saved the day and perhaps the season for the Chiefs. With almost ridiculous ease, Len Dawson hit his first 3 touchdown passes of the season. One to number 89 flanker Otis Taylor. One to number 38 running back Wendell Hayes. And one to split end Gloucester Richardson, number 30, as the Chiefs built a 5-touchdown halftime lead. Number 45, Robert Holmes, continued to act like anything but a sick rookie. In only his second game, the 5'9", 220-pound Holmes ran for 123 yards, 76 of them during the second longest run of the entire AFL season. The Chiefs' rebuilt defense, gaining more cohesion with each game, continued to come up with big plays, including 5 interceptions. One was turned into a touchdown by number 51, linebacker Jim Lynch. All told, the Chiefs piled up 48 straight points in one of the most overwhelming victories in league history. As usual in a game against Buffalo's tough defense, the offense spends most of the game trying to find some place to run. Fortunately for the Chiefs, their own defense set up 2 scores by yielding its only touchdown in 3 games. The defense, plus the kicking of Jan Stenerud, plus the continued superlative running of Robert the Tank Holmes, assured a 3rd consecutive win for Kansas City, although it was rougher than Coach Hank Stram had hoped. The Chiefs' young defense next ganged up on the newly born Cincinnati Bengals, led by spectacular rookie running back Paul Robinson and Hall of Fame coach Paul Brown. The best expansion team ever was hit with the formula, defense plus Stenerud plus Holmes equals 4 straight wins in first place. The 4X Chiefs starting for the Bengals must have felt just a bit homesick. The first 50,000-plus crowd in Kansas City sports history, and millions of home television viewers were watching. The injury-racked Chiefs to hold first place had to beat the league champion Oakland Raiders, winners of 14 of their last 15 games, and beat them they did. The Kansas City defense broke down pro football's most prolific scoring machine. His best receivers unavailable, Coach Strand, with brilliant strategy, resurrected the old-fashioned tight T with 2 tight ends, Reg Carolyn and number 84, Fred Arbanis. The Chiefs passed a record low 3 times. They ran a record high 60 times. Mike Garrett for 109 yards. Wendell Hayes for 89 yards. Robert Holmes for 95 yards. Despite adversity, the Chiefs had won 5 straight games. They were now alone at the top. A strong wind and a stronger Kansas City defense greeted the second-place San Diego Chargers as the second half of the season got underway. Another record crowd and another national TV audience saw the Chiefs' offense again return to normal. Mike Garrett had his best day of the season, accounting for 162 yards. He also scored his first touchdown of the year. Robert Holmes added his 6th touchdown of the year, and with the help of Jan Stenerud's 20th and 21st field goals, the Chiefs twice came from behind to win their 6th consecutive game. The vengeful champion Raiders played their best game of the season and dominated the Chiefs just as the Chiefs had dominated them 2 weeks before. After 6 straight convincing victories, the powerful Chiefs had finally been beaten. In a must game for the Chiefs, the defense again held Cincinnati without a touchdown. Len Dawson was sidelined with a leg injury, and the offense was having its problems except for Robert Holmes, who personally accounted for 220 yards and thoroughly outplayed his Rookie of the Year rival, Paul Robinson. Trailing by 3 late in the game, Dawson hobbled onto the field and proceeded to lead the Chiefs to victory. The game's only touchdown was scored by Dawson's friend, Robert Holmes. Back home against the Boston Patriots, another sellout crowd saw the Chiefs' famous big play offense finally return. Goldie Sellers flashed 77 yards with a punt. Len Dawson was instructed to bomb Boston. One bomb to Gloucester Richardson was good for a 77-yard touchdown. Another bomb to Frank Pitts was good for a 90-yard touchdown. At times, it seemed as if the Chiefs were running casual relays up and down the field. But with only 1 minute remaining, another must game was still in the balance. Then, Len Dawson threw a screen pass to Mike Garrett. E.J. Holland threw a perfect block. Ed Buddy threw another. And Garrett swiveled 43 yards for the one final big play, which salted away another Kansas City victory. Thanksgiving Day with the Wolfpack, the final home game, another standing room only crowd. For the 7-game home schedule, 99% of capacity. For the 3rd straight year, a new Western Division attendance record. And of course, multi-millions more watching at home. This was a must game for both the Oilers and the Chiefs. And no one loves this kind of action more than a Chiefs fan. Red-hot Len Dawson continued to hit with the big plays. at one point connecting on 10 consecutive passes with 3 going for touchdowns. For his day's work, Dawson was voted the AFL Offensive Player of the Week. 2 of his touchdowns were thrown to Frank Pitts, who confirmed the long-standing faith of Coach Stram by emerging as one of the league's leading long-distance threats. The Riddler, as he is called, had a large part in knocking the defending champion Oilers out of the Eastern race and in keeping the Chiefs on top in the West. After 3 straight wins, the Chiefs still had to defeat the high-scoring Chargers in San Diego. Then, the resurgent Broncos in Denver, and then, a tie for the Western title would be assured. The nation again watched as the Chiefs' big play offense continued to roll. Len Dawson threw 3 more touchdown passes, and for the second straight week, Lenny the Cool was voted the AFL Offensive Player of the Week. The longest touchdown pass was again thrown to Frank Pitts, this time for 68 yards, and the play that crushed Sid Gilman's Chargers. The fired-up Chiefs defense swarmed all over Kansas' John Hadle and forced him into his worst game in 5 years. 7 times the Chiefs intercepted. Led by perennial All-Pro Johnny Robinson, the Chiefs for the 3rd straight year had the most interceptions in the league, 37. Middle linebacker Willie Lanier, number 63, trundled almost the length of the field with 1 as the Chiefs scored 40 straight points and knocked the Chargers out of the race. The eyes of the nation this time were focused on the Chiefs' defense. Number 87, Defensive Player of the Week Aaron Brown forced interceptions and chased Marlon the Magician Briscoe all over Denver's Mile High Stadium. The Chiefs, always known as one of football's strongest finishers, finally had their necessary 5th straight win and were assured of a tie for the Western title. In what had begun as a rebuilding year, and despite crippling injuries, Coach Hank Stram had led the Chiefs to 12 victories in 14 games, their best record ever. No team had ever played so well without winning an undisputed title. On a cold, wet day in Oakland, the league's first 2 Super Bowl teams finally decided a championship. In '68, the Chiefs' special teams were indeed special, with young hitters like Culp, Prudhomme, Daney, Belzer, and Hurston, and Jan Stenerud, Pro Football's 2nd leading scorer, and Gerald Wilson, Pro Football's leading punter, and of course, Nolan Smith, the smallest man in pro football, the 5'6" 154-pound man they call the Super Gnat. He runs the 100 in 9.4. He led the league in punt returns. He is so small and elusive, hardly anyone ever gets a solid shot at him. But when they do, the result can be a fractured cheekbone. Chiefs' defense set a league record for fewest points allowed. Judo expert Ed Lothamer was one reason. Captain Jerry Mays, number 75, was another. His quickness and determination have made him All-League 5 times. Aaron Brown, number 87, in his first year as a starter, showed the speed and strength which just about guarantee a brilliant future. The Big Cat, 6 foot 9 inch, 290 pound Ernie Ladd, a 4-time All-Pro, despite painfully damaged knees, gave the Chiefs many a needed lift. And 6 foot 7 inch, 287 pound Buck Buchanan, despite numerous injuries, was still the best defensive tackle in the league. The linebacking was in excellent hands. Young Jim Lynch, number 51, the former Notre Dame great, excelled in his first year as a starter, winding up the season as the star of the AFL All-Star Game. The defensive signal caller was young Willie Lanier. In only his second year as a pro, he was voted All-League. Alongside these two outstanding youngsters towered the imposing figure of Bobby Bell, All-League for the 4th straight year. His punishing blitz was one reason why the Chiefs' defense dumped enemy quarterbacks for more yardage than any other team in football. Coach Stram has built a league-leading defense with both youth and experience, a defense primed for the future. The offense is a similar blend, and it too led the league in both passing and rushing. It was anchored at center by former linebacker E.J. Hollop. At quarterback was Len Dawson, the all-time AFL passing leader. One of the most accurate passers of all time, Dawson during the past 7 seasons has also thrown for more touchdowns than any other pro quarterback. Much of the credit for this record belongs, of course, to the Chiefs' excellent young receivers, Gloucester Richardson, Frank Pitts, and Otis Taylor, whose running abilities are equal to those of the best halfbacks. Coach Stram, in fact, uses his receivers as ball carriers more often than any other coach. With the kind of downfield blocking the Chiefs usually have, the result is often a long game. There is no better way to score from the 5-yard line than to have Otis Taylor gallop through the old end-around play. Otis Taylor, the ultimate in modern football weaponry. Size, speed, hands, power. He has them all. Trying to tackle Otis Taylor is like trying to tackle a racehorse in the home stretch. Blessed with receivers like these, the Chiefs' offense will continue to be one of the toughest in football to suppress. Football is a game of big men. Mike Garrett at 5 feet 9 inches competes among these men, and the former Heisman winner is one of the toughest, most exciting performers in the game. Despite multiple injuries, Garrett again finished in the league's top 10 rushers, and as always, he furnished more than his share of football magic. Garrett also led the Chiefs in receiving. There is no one in football more dangerous with a screen pass. In this game of big men, the man of the year had to be another 5 foot 9 inch giant, Robert Holmes. From the obscurity of the 14th round of the college draft to the Chiefs' most valuable player, Robert Holmes battled every inch of the way. His rushing total was second best in the league. His rushing average, the best in the top 10. He sparked the Chiefs' offense from his very first game. His dedication and desire earned him an award voted by his teammates. The award is named for the Chiefs' star running back, Mac Lee Hill, who died several years ago while undergoing surgery. It is presented annually to the rookie, who, as the inscription reads, best exemplifies the spirit of the late Mac Lee Hill, the man with the giant heart and the quiet way. Holmes said, "In the years to come, I hope to improve and not make so many mistakes." These are the uncrowned champions. With men like these, they will not be uncrowned for long. This is Hank Stram, a winner in over 100 AFL games, including 2 league championships, a unanimous choice as AFL Coach of the Year, and one of the most dynamic leaders in any sport.
Come on, Len, come on, get him out of there, you're too slow.
Dawson in quarterback, gets the snap, he fakes the run to Mike Garrett, running back, goes to the ball, and an outfall.
Was that there? Hey, was that there? Yes, sir. That's it, boys. 15 lead pass. 15 lead pass. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Got it, baby. Yeah. Come on, Jan. Pump it out. Hey, that's the way, Jan. Attaboy. That's the way to hit that thing. Out. He's out. One foot was out. He was out. One leg was in there. That's all. Just one leg. Ah, come on. Look at his cleat mark right here. Look at the cleat mark right there. One foot was on, the other one was off. Come on, put pressure on that quarterback. Good. How about that 30 pass again? Post flag with Frank Pitts.
The leadership of Hank Stram is felt by all the Chiefs, by Jim Tyre and Ed Buddy, all pros, Mo Mormon, rookie, Mike Garrett, All-American, Dave Hill, Old Pro, and by Frank Pitts, a young man in whom the coach continued to have faith. To them all, the glory of sport is in a moment like this.
30 pass. 30 pass. Round right. Yes, sir. Hey, Ridley. Nice going there, Ridley. Yes, sir. Well, we needed that. We needed that badly, boy. Woo, we needed that. That should be the termination of the contest.